Welcome, everybody. Joe Tarnowski with ECRM, and I have with me today Greta Pagliarani and Ronan Noonan from Galvanina. They are a healthy beverage company that has participated in our sessions last year. And today we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to touch on the company and its products. Also, we're going to talk about some trends in the beverage segment. And then we're going to get into, since they are an international brand that's had a lot of success here in the US, we're going to talk about some best practices for international brands that are looking to break into retail in this country. So, guys, thank you for joining us. And I would like to start off with, if you could just go over a little bit of the background on the company. I know you guys have been around almost like 100 years. So give us a little history of the company and tell us about the products that you offer.
Yeah, hi Joe. Great to be a part of the ECRM podcast with you guys today. So we're very happy to be here. A little bit of the history on Galvanina, as you just mentioned, right? Galvanina has been a leading producer of health and wellness beverages for over 100 years. Located in the heart of Italy, in the hills near Rimini. We own and operate 3 different sources in Rimini and we're currently present in over 50 countries in the world. We've been doing business in the United States since 1987, established so many key partners over that period of time, and looking to increase our business foothold in the US for years and years to come.
Excellent. Can you take us through your product lineup?
Absolutely, yeah. So first thing is, we are a leading private label manufacturer for mineral waters. We also have a vast range of low-calorie sodas, full-strength sodas, and we also do a mixer category, where we also innovate around different categories that are in demand within the industry. So we like to consider ourselves a total beverage company. We can produce any sort of beverage for any sort of occasion. And that's something that our retailers have come to trust Galvanina with for an extended period of time. Because we're the experts in private label, because we're consistently delivering against our goals, it's allowed us to grow our business exponentially since the 1980s into 2021. So we, looking at mineral water as being our lead category, which it has been throughout a considerable period of time, and is showing considerable growth, even though it's been in existence for quite a period.
Cool. And what trends are you guys seeing in the beverage category? I know that with the pandemic and everything, people are looking to live a lot more healthier. They're focusing more on longevity. And are you seeing that kind of impact what your customers are looking to buy?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, listen, the reality through all this uncertainty is it's giving people an opportunity to reflect on what's best for them and what's best for their family. Mm-hmm. And you are what you eat. It's a common phrase that's been used over time. And it's the same for us, right? We think about health and wellness every day. Active people have better immune systems. What you drink is also, it's there to provide substance and sustenance to your immunity, to your health and wellness. And, it's also kind of how you leave your legacy, right? You want to kind of look at the future as being for the kids growing up for tomorrow, say what's good for you, what's not good for you. And I think now throughout this whole period, we've been talking about how COVID has been an eye-opener for a lot of people on who's been more susceptible, for example. We've seen a lot of trends out there from big buyers in grocery, in drug and pharma companies, moving away from certain products to incorporate different health and wellness nutritional substances into their manufacturing processes, into their messaging. And I think that's one of the key things that we have, and it's why ECRM has been a fantastic tool for everybody to be engaged with, is because ECRM allows you to bring that into real life and have real life conversations with people who are thinking the same way as yourself.
Gotcha. And I know just from my own personal experience since COVID started, I've been focusing a lot more on pretty much everything I eat is organic. I stay away from anything processed. I even gave up diet sodas, which was like the last kind of non-healthy thing that I would drink, and you definitely feel a difference. You definitely, especially switching from non-organic to organic products, it's just made a big difference for me. So, another thing that I wanted to ask you is because you offer a line of mixers, and with a lot of restaurants being closed and bars being closed, have you seen a spike in that from people drinking at home and making their own cocktails?
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, the data we're seeing from some of the big branded players throughout the marketplace have indicated double-digit growth coming from grocery, coming from liquor stores. So a lot of people are innovating when they get home. At the beginning of COVID, if you looked at some of the data that was coming out about people cooking from home, getting more pasta, and I know Greta could probably speak to the Italian nature of that category as well. But people have become more resourceful to how they want to experience life, because at the end of the day, you're not stopping your life. You're just finding another way how to live it. And people are constantly innovating against. It's been a change for everybody, right? Not being able to go out and socialize. And the one thing we all have to remember is that there has been a massive impact on people in hospitality, right? It's been detrimental to a lot of people in hospitality. We fully recognize that, but on the other end of that, people have experienced how can I still have my occasional drink? How can I still enjoy my margarita or my mojito at home? And it's become more of an experience in-house versus outdoors. So branded IRI data that we have seen from the big major players, and us as a private label company, okay, when you think about the demand we're experiencing for that category now as well, for some of the big retailers reaching out to us to create that experience for them. And why? Because sales are peaking, demand is growing. And again, it's looked at a category as bring it home, bring your cocktail home and innovate.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's funny you mentioned the occasional people during the pandemic making the occasional cocktail at home. I think a lot of them are making more than the occasional cocktail at home.
Yeah, listen, I'm one of them, right? I mean, hand on heart, my wife works for a beverage company, tequila company. So we like to kind of mix up our cocktails and try and be innovative around it. It's a bit of fun too.
Yeah.
We've all been through something this year where I know you guys are in New York City, and New York City was hit the hardest at the beginning, yeah. And that was a real draconian push to shut down. So as I said at the beginning, life can't just stop. You have to still try and find moments of enjoyment, and definitely for us, I mean, looking at the broader spectrum of when we were talking about health and wellness beverages, and we're talking about mixers, and we're talking about innovation. One of the key components to everything that we're going through is the experience we are getting from information to media to what's important and what's not important. And the reality is that your health and wellness will always be the driver for how you exist in life and how you live your life. Because if you don't have your health, you can't really be as functional and as productive in your work experience. You can't be there for your kids in the same experience. It has a knock-on effect to everything you do, your health and wellness. I mean, listen, you have to kind of think about tomorrow to enjoy today. And it's something that we all have a responsibility to educate our kids on. And that's why I think when we close the chapter on this period of our time, we'll all find ways to be more resilient. We'll all find ways, and we'll look at this as an experience that you can look at it as being the most devastating experience of all time, which, don't get me wrong, fully accept it for a lot of families it has. But you have to look for positive things to see how you can create a more sustainable, brighter future for those you work with, those within your family, and the wider community.
I agree, and I know there's a term that's being bounced around a lot more as health span versus lifespan. It's like sure you can live into your 80, 85, but you want those later years to be quality years, not just existing. You want to be able to live during that time of your life. So, and this focus on health now is going to help that for a lot of people.
And Joe, let me ask you, right? Are you hearing, like you do a lot of these interviews,
Hmm.
right? You talk to a lot of people in this industry. Are you hearing like that is the key message?
Yes, in fact, it's permeating every category, not just food and beverage, but health and beauty care, general merchandise, anything that's geared towards living a more healthy, more productive, more focused lifestyle. No matter what the product is, a lot of any products that are helping in that area. Obviously, vitamins and supplements is one, but again, food. It's the focus is on healthy. Also, general merchandise products that are around a healthy lifestyle, even not just for us, but for our pets, for our kids. Things that will help us to participate in healthy activities. So yeah, it's definitely permeating every single category that you'd see at retail.
And do you think that this would have been as hot a topic as it is now if it wasn't for COVID?
It was heading that way. People were getting a lot more healthier months or in the years before because you've seen a lot of the mass media, like popular, like podcasts, right? You have Joe Rogan's podcast, Tim Ferriss, all of these big media personalities. A lot of them talk a lot about health, and I've started seeing a shift, even with entrepreneurs. It used to be in the old days, like the entrepreneur used to brag about burning the candle at both ends, working 20 hours a day. Now they're bragging about how much sleep they get and how good
Great
they
point.
eat and the workouts that they do. So I started seeing the shift in the years moving up to COVID. I think COVID just accelerated that tremendously. So that now everyone's like, well, it's not just about health, it's preventative. It's going to, the people who are taking better care of themselves are less likely to either get COVID or they're more likely to have an easier time getting through it. So it definitely accelerated it. But I think it was already a big trend over the past couple of years before, but now it's just gone through the roof.
Yeah, I think we're seeing the same, and I think it's interesting how much we evolve and we try to negotiate change with people, with the customers, and with people's mindsets. And when we look down through the amount of information available to create that change, we're no longer in a world of, oh well, this could be good for you.
Hmm.
We're now in a world of this is good for you.
Yep.
You mentioned organic theme earlier. We create organic beverages at Galvanina for 20 odd years, right? Selling them to some of the largest customers in the US. And we also kind of innovate around the immunity trends, the probiotic trends. And again, I think the key thing for us is like the more people that get involved in that culture of change and driving change. And here's one of the key things, asking for change, right? If you go and keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same results.
Yep.
It's the guy who wakes up in the morning in January 1 and he says, I'm going to make resolutions. And by January 10, he's parked the resolutions.
Yep.
You got to move on. You got to stick to it and be resilient and get your goals. And I think, when you think about health and wellness beverages, and I think, we're seeing it with a lot of the big branded companies too that are out there now. They've recognized the need for change. They've recognized that sustainability will become a big part of the future.
Yep.
Looking after the green movement is something that's going to be very predominant in consumer purchases.
Mm-hmm.
And more people want to know that we are helping to create a more sustainable future for tomorrow, and that regards our health and the environment. So, things, I mean, when we talk about the world today, you know, we should be very blessed and thankful for the way we're going. You know, when we look at things and you hear some media components were treating this like the end of the world at times, it's not. You know, we're just having more access to information and use the most positive information to create a better culture, create more positive influences in life. And why not get there? You know, we're in a unique, fantastic time to be a part of this cycle. So let's drive it to the next level. And what we consume, as I said earlier, what we eat is who we are. And you know, we will continue. I know Galvanina will continue to innovate against health and wellness trends because it's in our culture, and it's something we're very passionate about. And the good news is, as I mentioned, we're predominantly private label. Mm-hmm. So every trend we are seeing, from all of our customers, from drug pharma to grocery to liquor channels, they're all looking at increasing their dominance on health and wellness.
Yep.
So that's great.
And you're right. They're thinking at the same time, it runs in parallel. At the same time, they're thinking of the health of themselves. They're thinking of the health of the planet. And in fact, literally a few minutes before our interview, I posted a blog on, it was an interview between Wayne Bennett, our SVP of retail, and John Lahed, who is the product sustainability manager for Ahold Delhaize USA. And it was all about their efforts that they've stepped up since 2018 to have a whole bunch of different recycling sustainability initiatives with their suppliers going forward. So definitely a big thing, and I think they're running in parallel.
So Ahold Delhaize is a great example of a corporation that's looking to create positive change, mm-hmm. and you know, it's noticeable, right? Because once that message starts being related back to other corporations, when you have a leader of a category such as Ahold, mm-hmm. others pay attention. Yep. Because, you know, again, it's another business. It's another selling side of the business as well. You want to be one of the first to market with a sustainable plan for the future.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So now you guys have been doing really well in the United States. And I know there's we work with a lot of brands that are in other countries that are looking to break into the US. So since you guys have been very successful at it, love to talk to you a little bit about how you guys did it, right? And I know it was way back that you started doing it, but if you could tell me a little bit about how you historically broke into the United States and kind of what pathways you took to get there, and then maybe we'll get into some best practices that you would recommend for other suppliers.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think one of the first things that anybody looking to break into the US or in any market is your product. Mm-hmm. You have to have a unique quality product that you're able to stand behind, because if you go to retail and you're pitching your product to some of the biggest retailers, then understand this, that there is 100 other suppliers that want to take your space. Mm-hmm. So be the leaders in quality, be the leaders in innovation, come with solutions to potential problems, right? So you're an importer. What are some of the problems that can arise? Well, you know, you can have port congestions, you can have pricing issues moving forward, you can have minimum order quantities. Yeah, and the reality is just to be real with your customer at all times. If your customer is a large grocery channel that's able to sustain a program for a long period of time, then the reality is that the minimum order quantities are not going to be an issue for that customer. Mm-hmm. If you have a smaller customer and they have the right idea about creating a beverage program, but the math doesn't work out on a deal because it's not a sustainable program for the customer base that they have, then you have to be real on that as well. Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, once you combine all the elements to it, when you're sitting down with a potential future customer, you'll be very transparent about your process, be very transparent about where your price points are, and be diligent and responsible about your commitment to lead times. One of the biggest things we've seen is that, we have experience in creating unique programs, but we've also been very transparent with every customer on our sourcing lead times, to our production lead times, to getting route to market strategies locked in. All of those things takes a considerable amount of detail and effort, and you have to be willing to spend that time to make that into the customer's advantage, because at the end of the day, the customer is the one that drives demand. Demand is what gets you into the country, right? Demand is what allows you to import your product into the country. It's very much a simple economic supply and demand deal. And again, as I mentioned, it's so important that, like, when I think back about Galvanina, I only joined Galvanina like 18 months ago. And for me, looking at Galvanina from the outside in, it was like, wow, in 1987, when we first started selling in the United States, we started selling a mineral water. Well, what was a mineral water to people back then? Now the education about mineral water has increased tenfold. More and more people are transitioning away from sodas and the sparkling soda business to move into a mineral water, because it still offers that carbonation feel. And, but when I think back to like 1987, to the owners of Galvanina and to our customer base, they were way ahead of the time. But they also had to spend a lot of time on their due diligence to making sure that from price point to shelf, to making it a financially feasible deal for all parties, because it's got to be a win-win situation.
Yeah.
Don't do anything that's going to put yourself in financial jeopardy.
Gotcha. What about the path in? So someone who is not in the United States yet, what are some of the first things they should do? Do you talk to the retailer first? Do you look for a distributor? Or can it be a variety of different pathways into this country?
Yeah, great question again, Joe. I think it's a combination, because you first of all have to look at the market research and your market data. Okay, so if I'm sitting in Europe and I look at the US as being an entry point for a certain category, well then, okay, I'm going to look at the trends, what I've seen over the last couple of years. So if I see a trend that's growing, the next thing I'm going to look at, okay, where is the demand for this trend? I will look at what's the competition that I will have to go in and face if I want to enter into this market. So it all boils down to what's your unique selling point. What do I have that you don't have? And that's one of the key components. But again, listen, that's the key to any business. If you look at a domestic versus even an import, what's going to give you a competitive advantage over somebody else that's in the marketplace? Well, every customer and every supplier and every retailer has to look for competitive advantages. So that's something that we're able to do for mineral water, for example. And for anybody else that's looking to come into the marketplace, it's very much a similar trend. Once you've established you have a unique selling point, then you have to translate that unique selling point into relevant data material that you can present in front of either a distributor or it can be a retailer. And then from that point on, you've got to remember, like I discussed, about the positioning of your product. If the retailer is interested, he says, you know what, I can do something with this product. I think it has a unique place in the market. Well, then your next step is, okay, he's willing to offer me some distribution points. So then my mind goes to, okay, distribution's my step in the door. How am I going to increase rate of sale to drive even more distribution for the future and to make sure that this program is sustainable over a long term? So then I sit down and I do a market analysis of where I want the brand to go over the next 5 to 10 years. And every year there's going to have to be a continuous investment to ensure that that brand is succeeding. And at the end of the day, who's buying your brand? How am I resonating my message to the end consumer? Are they going to pick up my brand? Because that's how your brand breeds confidence. And I hope I'm not being too long-winded about this, because I think it's important that your route to market has to be an outlined strategy that's looking at a 5-year plan of how I'm going to make the retailer's business more money, how I'm going to create excitement with the customer, and I'm going to grow a category.
That's such an important point. Is what is in it for the retailer? That's the bottom line. Is they need to keep that in the back of their mind with all of this. Is how am I going to benefit the retailer? Because everybody thinks they have the best product in the world, but the retailers seeing, like you said, hundreds of them. Especially in your space, the retailers are seeing so many beverage companies, and they're going to have to. The point of differentiation is so important. So if I'm a supplier and I'm from another country and I'm participating in a U.S. focused ECRM program, and I have 10 minutes. What are like the top 3 things I should focus on in that conversation?
I think it kind of it's a combination. I think the first thing again is your unique selling point of your product. The second thing is the trends that you're seeing in the marketplace that can make you believe and make the retailer believe that this product will succeed. Mm-hmm. And then the third thing is, and I think it's one of the most relevant things, is how is this program going to monetize over the long-term future? Like, peel back the Band-Aid on any project, and you have to realize that everybody's in this for capital gain. Mm-hmm. There's no point entering a business world if you're not in it to make a profit. Mm-hmm. And every retailer in this business is going to say, how are you going to make my company more money? And rightfully so. That's part of commerce. That's something ECRM has capitalized on throughout COVID, right? Because you guys have been the ones that, instead of holding live events, you've pivoted the strategy to create the virtual events. Well, the retailer still wants to make his money long term, so it's 3 things. It's like the product, it's the profitability, and the market research to show you can succeed.
Excellent. And now, so if a supplier has that meeting with the buyer, goes over those 3 points, the buyer is really interested. Will the buyer kind of help them get their footing in this country, like recommend an importer or distributor for that they could connect with to make it happen?
It's again, everybody's different. You'll have you'll have retailers out there that will be so engaged in the program and say, this is something we really need. Mm-hmm. Here is how I recommend you moving forward to bring this in. But we also have to remember, some of the largest customers, to make any program profitable for an importer, the largest customers in the US are probably going to have a link between the importer and them, and it's usually a distributor or along those lines, or a broker. Mm-hmm. So a lot of those companies will position you with one of their brokers or with their existing distributor, because then they will lay out the roadmap to be successful within the country. Now, in order to be successful, right, that's their due diligence process. Yeah. So there's a lot of layers to get through between going from the meeting with a supplier to actually project implementation. I would say, given an average, if you have a meeting today, it could take up to 1 year before you even see a product entering the country, and then probably another couple of months before a product will hit a shelf.
So patience is very important, and I see that a lot of people, everyone is like, they have a meeting, they're like, we want to get on the shelf next month. Yeah. It doesn't happen that way. There's a lot of moving parts. If you're in this country, if you're a supplier in another country, there's so many more moving parts.
Yeah, I mean, think about lead times, right? Think about the journey across the pond from Europe even to come to the US, right? There's a considerable amount of lead times. Think about, if you're even in the logistics and freight industry right now, right? They're going through considerable hurdles because there's a lot of congestion at ports. Now it'll ease, but again, if you're a new importer into this country right now, you're going through something that is, you hadn't foreseen. So it's like, another good point is like building your business continuity plan, having an emergency plan in place that's saying, okay, if something goes astray here in the short term, how, number one, am I going to mitigate anything from the retailer, right? Because at the end, you don't want a retailer to have an open space in their shelves that you can't occupy. So you have to consider everything from a business recovery and continuity plan all along those streams. But again, I think, you learn that over experience. I think experience is a key word. And Joe, you make a great point, man, because everybody wants it to happen today.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, Greta and I, we are no different. We meet with a retailer, we get all excited, because I think you need to get excited too. We're in a business of creating excitement. We want to innovate against beverage trends that are in demand, but then we've got to sit down and talk about, okay, well, we create the beverage, then we have to sit down between sourcing and production and lead times. All that takes a considerable period of time. So by the time project initiation starts to project completion, for us as an existing customer, you're still talking 6 to 12 months for an existing customer.
Yeah, and since you guys are in the middle of your follow-ups from our the program in which you participated, I'd like to talk. We're going to bring Greta into the conversation now. We weren't ignoring her; we were saving her for last. But Greta, tell us a little bit about your experience with our virtual session. I think it was the first one that you did with us. I know you're signed up for another one, but what was your experience in terms of the prep, getting ready for it, working with our client success managers to prepare, and then the actual tools themselves and meetings?
Perfect. Thank you so much, Joe, for inviting me today. I'm very happy to talk about our ECRM experience. We joined the virtual beverage program last summer, and the event has been very successful. First, because from the day we sign up, we've been assigned to a client success manager. In our case was Elena, which I want to thank you personally for all the assistance. She was great. She was helping us creating a profile on the ECRM platform. She was helping with advices on how to present our product in the best way possible and how to maximize the time with the buyers, because you have 20 minutes and you have to be efficient and talk about the key points, presenting your company and your products and focus on your capabilities. So Elena was helping us, and we have been all trained some weeks before the event, few weeks before the event, on how to use the platform. And the biggest fear, if I have to be honest, for our company was in joining a virtual event, since it was the first time, was the one of facing some technical difficulties through the event, through the meeting. But we felt so confident after the training because our client success manager, she made sure that every member of the team has a camera that was working okay, the microphone, the audio, so all to prevent any technical issue during the meetings. So we felt very, very supported, and this virtual program was so well organized that I feel and I want to recommend this to any brand out there that wants to launch this product in the United States, but especially to international brand, since during COVID now, we are not allowed to travel and will be like this for a while. So I see this as a real and concrete opportunity to present a company and show the product in front of a buyer. So the cool part is that the buyer is in front of you. You can ask questions. You have the possibility to interact with a buyer that maybe you researched for months without having an answer. So I think the ECRM was a great tool for our company, as also Ronan mentioned before. And as far as cool things, for example, we were able to write notes directly while on the meeting, because the platform, I would say, is very modern and was great.
Excellent. And you brought up a good point. And I think a lot of people, because, a lot of, event companies and stuff are trying to get into the virtual game. But I think what people often overlook is how important the human element is in
Yeah,
pulling off a successful digital or virtual meeting. Because we have, like you said, everybody like you gets a test run where we check your equipment, make sure it's working. But also during the session, they're on hand watching this huge
yeah.
dashboard.
I
And
forgot to mention, yeah.
yeah, if
That was
anybody,
great, Joe. We were seeing people checking on our meeting while we were on the meeting. So that gave me personally and to all the team as well a great sense of confidence that if something was happening, somebody was ready right there to help us. So there is nobody out there in the market providing such an assistance.
yeah, it's a little big brotherish. We peek into the meetings, but there's two things. There's one is if you do get into some issues, you just hit contact support and somebody jumps in a second or two.
Yeah.
But what happens more often, right? Because our team that's on the dashboard, they're going into one meeting after another and checking to make sure the video or the sound. So if they observe a meeting and they hear that somebody's sound is no good, they'll jump in for a second and say, hey, you may want to, do this to make your sound better. And then they jump out. And sometimes if like there's a meeting scheduled and somebody doesn't show up, like we could see the number of people in the meeting and we see that, let's say the supplier or the buyer didn't show up, we'll jump into the room, let them know, say, are you still waiting for them? And if they are, we'll go get them. We'll text them, we'll call them, whatever, and make sure they get into that meeting. And then at the very least, at the very worst case, we've had sometimes when somebody's Wi-Fi may have dropped out and they missed most of the meeting. Well, we'll just reschedule it. So it's
Yeah.
just, it offers a lot of opportunities. But to your point, one thing we have also noticed for international brands, going both ways for suppliers here that are looking to meet with European retailers and vice versa, European brands looking to meet with US retailers, it breaks down the barriers. There's no travel issues. You don't have to spend money on travel. You're still getting in front of that buyer and in a way that you can interact. So what was your favorite tool or feature on there? You took a lot of notes, so
I took a lot of notes, and was very cool that we were able to to share our presentation, but also to share any other kind of marketing tools. So to the platform, you can show a video, a picture, a company profile. So it's very easy to use. And also, I would say through the platform was very easy to follow up. So there is a dedicated section for the follow-up part. So we were able to be aware on where to follow up. We receive reminders. So it was very, very well set up.
So we try to make it easy with everything in one place, and it sounds like you guys did a lot of homework before your meetings as well,
Yeah.
and researching the buyers, because we make that information available too.
Ronan made me do so much work before the event. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
So much homework. It was a pleasure, actually, because personally, I found very helpful research on all retailers before the event, research on their current offer for our category, to be aware about the retailer we were beating. So when you are aware, you have better chance to success, because you know your business, you know their business, so there is no way to fail.
Yeah, that's great. That's something we advise all the time, is you don't want to go cold into a meeting. You want to make sure you look up what the buyer's needs and objectives are for the category, and make sure you tailor your presentation accordingly, because the more work you do in the prep, the easier it is and the better it is during the live meetings themselves.
Yeah.
Especially all the focus of each retailer was published once the meeting was confirmed. Also when the meeting was still pending, so we were always able to see and check retail needs and focus of the beverage program at any time, so that help us also for our research.
Well, I'll give you a little history. The ECRM Connect platform actually has its roots in our in-person sessions.
Wow.
Yeah, when you when you went to one of our in-person sessions, we would give everybody an iPad for the duration that had the ECRM Connect app on it, where they could take notes, they could rate products. I mean, they could rate meetings, they could do their follow-ups. Not everybody used it. I mean, about maybe half, because a lot of people like scribbling notes. But a lot of that came from there. And then when COVID happened, we used that as the foundation and added video, added new features. So, and we're constantly adding new features. In fact, we just added one. It wasn't available when you guys had your meetings, but it's a private chat. So it's perfect for you guys, right? So,
Wow.
Ronan, you're in Texas, right?
Correct.
And Greta, you're a mile away from me here in Astoria. Well, if you're in the same meeting, you're not in the same room. So there's no way, like, if you wanted to talk to each other and say, hey, maybe we should, recommend this product and this, this thing over that one to this buyer, there's no way you could do it. But now with the private chat, you can have that conversation. And what's cool is it's something you can't even do in person, right? Because if you're in person with the buyer, you can't like say, hey, well, we should, recommend, but now you could just do that between each other on the platforms, unless you're texting each other under the table, like talk about these products, the mixers, and not this. So now we have that capability, and we keep on adding more, and as we go along.
You made our life easier, Joe.
Well, that's the goal. That's the goal. So my last question is, what's next? What do you have coming down the pike that you could talk about?
Yeah, so for us, right, we're obviously the next ECRM beverage meeting. We're very excited about talking about some of our unique beverages again to some of the biggest customers. And we again, as we said earlier, right, the product is one of the key components to any success. And the way we're looking at the trends right now, we're in a really healthy position as a company to maintain our significant growth. And we just continue to look onwards because the more and more companies that transition to health and wellness beverages, the more and more companies that pay awareness to sustainability, the more and more companies that want to do business with a company like Galvanina. You guys are experts in our field, so we will continue to evolve as time goes. And as Greta said, I think one of the great points about ECRM too, Joe, just for your notice, not only do we get connected with the right buyers, we also get to cut to the chase quicker, right? Like you have a period of time where you can discuss business, so you cut out a lot of the fluff from behind it, and you get to the point. And I love that.
You know what? It's interesting you mentioned that, because that's one comment we keep hearing more and more, is that the buyers and sellers are saying that the meetings, since we went to virtual, are much more focused, because you have to use that time wisely, and it's cutting out a lot of the BS that you really don't need in these meetings.
You don't. I mean, you don't need them at all. Like, it's one of the great tools. I mean, even the focus letters that we have from the retailers kind of outline the specific details. So that, like, even if you have a meeting that you can't, for any supplier out there that cannot hit their metrics of what they're looking for, don't waste people's time.
Yep. Time is the one thing you can't get back. I mean, it's you can't get more of, and you can't get it back. So that's what it's all about.
Enjoy your time, Joe.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much for this great information, and I think it's going to be very, very valuable, both for people in the beverage category as well as international brands that are looking to break in. So, because you guys are the experts in that. So thank you again, and I will catch up with you guys at our upcoming session.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Beth.
You.